A Christian camp is taking legal action against the state of Colorado over a regulation that tramples its religious beliefs. Joining me now is Ryan Tucker, Senior Counsel for Alliance Defending Freedom. Now, Ryan, I understand you guys are representing the camp, which, by the way, is based off of, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the camp here, but it's based off of the song, I'd Rather Have Jesus, a great song. But what's going on here?
Well, IdRaHaJe, it's a Christian camp, summer camp. They serve about 3,000 plus campers each summer. And while it's a Christ-centered camp, it welcomes children of all faiths and backgrounds to its camps each and every year. But it does require campers to and their parents to abide by the camp's Christian policies. The problem is the state created these new regulations that attempt to force the camp to disregard its own faith and mission and require it to allow kids to use shower, dressing, and sleeping facilities based on their chosen identity. So boys, for example, would be allowed into girls' private spaces and vice versa. The camp absolutely cannot do that. They requested an exemption on multiple occasions from the state, a religious exemption, but that request was denied. So if it doesn't adopt Colorado's extreme policies, it could lose its license. And so that's why ADF got involved and we filed a federal lawsuit.
You know, Ryan, we just had on a state representative who's defending some female staffers at the state capitol being forced to use the bathroom facilities with guys. He says it's just insane how far left these policies have gotten in Colorado. In your investigation here, have you discovered that to be the case?
Well, certainly Colorado's extreme policies on gender and sexuality are plain wrong, and it's impacting a number of people across the state. You know, this isn't our first time that we've had to file a similar lawsuit there in Colorado. We represent another Christian school there in the state that's going through the exact same thing. This is a situation where the state's trying to ram down its ideology down the throat of this great religious organization. And, you know, Colorado simply can't force kids to shower, dress, and share a room with kids of the opposite sex. And we're going to fight it.
No, I'm glad you are, and I am curious about other instances like this around the country. Is this an anomaly? Is this just happening in Colorado, or have you guys seen similar stories around the country?
We've certainly seen similar stories across the country, but you know, even there in the Colorado area, Jefferson County Public Schools, for example, they have attempted to force students to sleep in the same room with students of the opposite sex if they go on a school field trip, you know, and doing so without parents' knowledge. So I wish it were an anomaly. Certainly in the state of Colorado, it is not. But we stand ready, willing, and able to assist the folks that are being impacted by this.
All right, so here we have it, and it's just sad that, you know, you guys had to get involved. But look, the reality is this Christian camp is not going to violate its religious beliefs. Am I correct here?
Absolutely. You know, this is a First Amendment issue. Religious camps have the right to be religious. It's commonsensical, but it's also embedded in our First Amendment. And, you know, they can't force this great institution, who's been around for decades, by the way, since 1948, to adopt these crazy policies on gender and sexuality. So the religious beliefs about sexuality and gender, that each person is created, you know, male or female, you know, it just doesn't subscribe to the extreme ideology. And I think the courts are going to find that as well.
Well, look, I'm glad you guys are on the case, and I think they really gave away the bottom line here is they're going after the Christian camps because there was really no other reason for them to deny this exemption.
There really isn't. You know, one, again, commonsensically would think if you have a religious institution that adheres to the biblical definition of sexuality, that simply giving an exemption would enable them to continue serving as they have for these many decades. But in Colorado, unfortunately, despite repeated attempts by the client's director, you know, they said no. So again, it forced his hand, and we're glad to represent him in the federal courts, and we look forward to hearing the arguments when they're set.
All right. Ryan, before we let you go, the name of the camp one more time, real slow.
Yeah, it's IdRaHaJe. It's a great summer camp. Look it up.
IdRaHaJe.
IdRaHaJe.
All right, there you go. Well, that's easy enough. IdRaHaJe. All right, very good. Ryan Tucker, Alliance Defending Freedom. Go get him, Ryan.
Thank you so much, Todd.